What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Aeron Sits from the Wrestle podcast. I'm here to discuss WWE Raw. Let's be honest, it sucked. I'm very forgiving when it comes to WWE Raw. I like WWE Raw. It's got a lot of stars that I like. I've said this before. I like AJ Styles. I love Drew Gulak, who wrestled each other. Great stuff, although Drew Gulak not making a rumble, so spoiler alert. Get that one out of the way nice and early. Loads of guys that I like. I think Rnady Ortons been on a tear. I love The Fiend. I love Alexa Bliss being with The Fiend. I really love Shayna Baszler. You know, one of my favourite women's wrestlers. I love Asuka. But this was awful. Okay? I can't honestly sit here and tell you that really anything from this show I truly enjoyed other than Sheamus and Keith Lee. Which is, don't get me wrong, love Sheamus and Keith Lee. I think Sheamus is massively underrated. But when that's the highlight of the show for you, it's disappointing. Now, obviously, there are two flashpoints that everyone's going to talk about from this show. One is the fact that Drew McIntyre is not on the show. That's because he has COVID-19. Please, please, please get well soon, Drew. It's as simple as that. I'd love to make jokes, etc., but I just don't think it's the climate and the time for it right now. The second flashpoint, of course, is quite literally a flashpoint. The one that flashed into Rnady Orton's eyes, because at the end of the show, after he got into a somewhat of a fight with Triple H, who, of course, a spoiler alert, had returned to Raw for the night and was challenged by Rnady Orton to a fight, and you obviously knew there were going to be shenanigans. Rnady Orton gets a fireball in the face. Another stunt. Another, you're still building, obviously, around this Fiend angle. Now, what frustrates me about this is the continuity of it. What can you possibly do to close this rivalry out when you've already had the heel burn the face de facto, kind of monster face? You've had him burnt alive. Great. Now what do we do? You know what? I'm going to punish you in a steel cage or what? What's next? Certain death match? That's basically all you've got left to do. This is the problem when WWE goes down the line of these crazy stunts. Now, did I hate the fireball to the face? Not really. I actually thought it was done pretty well, the editing. I actually really enjoyed seeing Triple H gets a sledgehammer out, burning alive, and all of a sudden he disappears. He's absorbed by the Fiend, as my good brother Cameron would have said, or did say. And all of a sudden, there's Alexa Bliss. Pain, fireball that comes out of what I think might have been, I'm not sure. I thought she was holding a microphone. She must have been holding something else, some sort of flamethrower, rocket launch, whatever. Nobody cares. It's a great stunt, but it doesn't make me feel like this rivalry is expanded upon. It doesn't make me feel like this rivalry is going to get better. Because, as I said last week, over and over and over, Rnady Orton burned the Fiend alive. So why am I supposed to sit here and think, oh, fucking hell, what are they going to do next? What can you possibly do next? There's no one-upsmanship with this. I'm glad that Alexa Bliss has some TV time. Triple H did his job, as you would expect. Good promo skills still. He's still in fantastic shape, like they said. You knew you weren't going to get a really serious fight out of the two. And to be fair, the majority of the time Triple H had the upper hand on him as well, which kind of made Rnady Orton look a bit stupid. This is a man who knocked off the Fiend and burnt him alive. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to reiterate this point before people understand what the fuck is going on. And ultimately, I think this is why people don't like Raw nearly as much as SmackDown. This was a 3-hour show, and it felt like nothing really happened. Now, sometimes I think Raw actually does a lot better than people think. Remember when it got its record lowest rating? I actually thought that Raw was quite good. I did. I thought it was all right. Last week left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth just because it's WWE, but at the same time, I'm conditioned to expect this stupid stuff like Goldberg. Now, obviously, with Drew McIntyre being away, you had an opportunity here to really set the stall out and really give guys an opportunity to shine. But the booking didn't allow them to do so. Matt Riddle versus Bobby Lashley, for instance, should have been a phenomenal match. But instead, it was kind of a squash match. Lashley gets a jump on him. Now, admittedly, Riddle had tapped out last week, referee hadn't seen it, and then he picked up a sneaky win. So you think, okay, fair enough, or this is an opportunity to kind of rectify that, and they did, so to speak, obviously being, dirty, shady heels. So Lashley beats Riddle pretty comfortably, it has to be said, which isn't going to be of, a massive loss to a lot of people with obviously his allegations. But then he challenges MVP, and it makes him look shit because Matt Riddle basically says, do you know what? I can't beat Bobby Lashley. But this is what he said in so many words. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing slightly. He gets on the mic. He says, I couldn't beat Bobby Lashley tonight, but I could beat you, MVP. What the fuck is that? You're supposed to be the face. And instead you're like, yeah, well, I'm not good enough to beat that geezer, but I suppose I could beat your manager who's not even dressed to wrestle. Kind of makes you look a bit shitty, a bit stupid. Doesn't make you look like a good face. Dare I say it's actually a little bit heelish. It's just like, I'm going to goad the guy in the suit who's not as good a wrestler and clearly not nearly as big a threat. And then he gets the shite kicked out of him anyway again. He has a fairly competitive match with MVP who can still go, to his credit. And then obviously Bobby Lashley interjects and he gets a fucking whopper stiff kick from MVP. But I'm left sitting there thinking, okay, what did that accomplish? Bobby Lashley beat him pretty handily and retained his Universal, I wish, United States Championship. That's great, fine. But then, he has this kind of scrap of MVP. Like, where are we going with this? I don't want to see Riddle wrestle Bobby Lashley again. So what, are we just going to get a random rivalry now between Riddle and MVP? I don't know. I don't care. I don't care enough. Drew Gulak versus AJ Styles for a place in the Royal Rumble. And it was obviously AJ Styles is going to be in the Rumble. That's pretty much de facto. But it just frustrated me a little bit. Because ultimately, I'm sitting here thinking, why? Why would you have Drew Gulak buried? Also, Drew Gulak versus AJ Styles. I know Drew Gulak isn't on the same level and he's not presented as a main event talent, but that's a world-class match in the making. We saw what happened when Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan had plenty of opportunity and plenty of time to kind of build a rivalry together. It was actually gold and people enjoyed it and it was fun. And you had the opportunity here and instead it was like, let's just get over the fact Omos is really big. And he's very funny. I like Omos. I actually think he's one of the shining lights of this very mediocre run that Raw's on at the moment. It's just everything didn't really matter. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax is their dissension. Shayna Baszler tags herself and taps out Mandy Rose. Don't care. But, why am I supposed to care about that? One thing I will say, all I ever hear about, especially from the haters, is, I hate Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, she's only in the business because she's blonde, because her second name's Flair. She goes over all the talent. That's all once again, she lost. It's the second week running she's lost on Raw. And I would argue that Charlotte Flair is one of the best women's wrestlers of the modern generation. She is absolutely a megastar. For me, she's one of their big main event stars when she's put in the right position. I think she's got all the tools to be one of the best. I think anyone out there saying that she's only good because she's a Flair, I mean, what does that even mean? It's like saying, like The Rock. Why do you think The Rock got his success? Because of his dad. Why do you think Cody Rhodes is successful? Because of his dad. Same with Dustin Rhodes. Same with Nia Jax. Same with anyone who's had any kind of relation. Rnady Orton. So what? That doesn't mean they still can't prove themselves as talents. And all these people, for the most part, have proven themselves and have stood alone as their own individuals. So I don't really understand this argument of, her second name's Flair. Like, that's her fault. How dare you be born from a Flair, how dare you be born of Flair's jism? It doesn't make any sense. Shut up. Ultimately, she's still fantastic at what she does. And here she is jobbing out to Lacey Evans, courtesy of her dad. That's a bit dumb as well. Why do you need to shoehorn Ric Flair in at this point? He looks like a haggard old man, and for some reason Lacey Evans has got the hots for him. Apparently Lacey Evans is into older men, and I'm just saying Lacey Evans, I mean, I'm only 35, but if that's the case, it's at Aeron Next Design. I'm just saying. it's quite simple. We all can wish. Everything about Raw just felt so slapdash. And you constantly hear these rumors about how WWE Raw is written and then changed and changed and changed so many times by Vince McMahon coming into it. And you just think, yeah, I can believe that. It shows. And it showed with this 3-hour episode. There was just nothing really to get your teeth into. This was the problem. Do you know what this felt like, right? It felt like I'd gone to a restaurant and I'd ordered all these incredible, I've been to a tapas restaurant. Let's go with tapas because I like tapas, obviously. Look at me. I obviously love food. And you order all these great dishes, but the problem is that they're all tiny little dishes, but none of them really feel like a main course. None of them really feel like a main event, and that was the problem with tonight. I was just picking at little entrees, and that's great to a certain extent, but I want something that's going to properly fill me up and make me feel warm and comfortable and go home happy, and there was nothing really there for Raw to give me. And that's the most disappointing fact about this Raw. Was it terrible? I wouldn't say it was terrible. It just did nothing. It accomplished nothing. The storylines were pointless. It was so mediocre. It was so average. I'm sitting there. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I like to play video games in the background. If wrestling's starting to get a little bit tedious, certain matches you're going to tune out or whatever. I'm just looking between Raw and Hitman and thinking, there's nothing here that catches my eye. The fact that I needed to play a video game to kind of keep my attention span going while watching Raw speaks volumes about this episode. It's disappointing because I'm not one of these people who likes to shit on everything. Ultimately, I do like to watch this stuff and I do like to enjoy it to a certain extent, but I just wasn't afforded that opportunity. Like I say, Riddle versus Lashley, it's okay, but it was hardly fucking spellbinding, was it? Same with Drew Gulak versus AJ Styles. Just, it could have been a dream match. Instead, it was just a pointless throwaway match. Again, the women's tag match. Who cares about that? Charlotte Flair losing to Lacey Evans. Don't really understand. It's good that Charlotte Flair is in a rivalry with Lacey Evans and she's helping put her over more because I actually think Lacey Evans is very good, massively underrated. But at the same time, you can't help but feel she could be doing a lot more than this. As could Asuka, who's kind of also hamstrung by this rivalry because all of a sudden she feels like she has to kind of be a part of Charlotte Flair's kind of thing now because obviously they're tag team champions. So, in retrospect, maybe putting the tag team titles on them wasn't necessarily the best idea. Not much to really shout about, was it? Other than, of course, Randy Orton getting a fireball in it. But the thing is, I don't want to sit there for 3 hours just to have that one slight moment of interest. I thought it was cool. I thought it was edited well. I like the idea that the sledgehammer was on fire. I love the fact that using, fire is obviously going to be a big thing here. And they've got an opportunity to do something, but I just don't know what. And like I say, it's hard to beat the pinnacle of a man being burnt alive. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Raw. There's nothing else I can really say. Sorry if it feels a bit underwhelming, but that's basically how Raw felt. So it's hard for me to convey a review that is slightly more entertaining, but at least hopefully as honest as Raw was. Because I just felt so meh. Which is why I'm grateful Impact is on tomorrow, because they normally tend to throw a few surprises at me. And of course, I will be back tomorrow/Wednesday to cover Impact Wrestling. Now, just a little quick point for anyone who's watching, please leave your comments and let me know, because I want to hear your feedback. I am considering the idea of possibly doing the live reviews of the show straight afterwards on a live stream. Let me know if you guys would prefer that or this format right now, which is what I'm doing, which is obviously the opportunity to cover the videos, because obviously by doing this gives me a chance to edit it, put up all these snazzy graphics and everything that you can see on the screen here, there, and fucking everywhere. But obviously I need to know what you guys think, because I want you guys to really enjoy this channel, have an opportunity to escape whatever woes of the world are there, and, listen to me rant on about wrestling. And also I want your interactions as well. Let me know what you thought so I can screenshot them, put them in our future videos. It would be lovely to interact with you guys a little bit more. So make sure you let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, and of course hit the bell icon so you can get notifications of all our videos going forward, because it'd be lovely to have you on board long term. Nonetheless, thank you very much for watching. Sorry that Raw was a bit shit. Let us know what you think. There was no Goldberg on the show as well, so which is actually probably a good thing, let's be honest. But it is what it is. But like I say, we're always happy to listen to your interactions. I'd love to get into what you guys think about WWE Raw. Maybe you can let me know what you think can be done to improve WWE Raw. Let's put a positive spin on it. Maybe you guys have ideas on how Raw can improve. We can all shit on Raw. We can all shit on any kind of wrestling. That's easy to do. However, the real strategy, the real accomplishment in wrestling is finding ways of actually improving things that aren't very good in the public eye. So what do you guys think WWE Raw can do to improve? Let me know in the comments below, and I also let me know in the comments below, and obviously I shall cover them on a future video for you guys. But ultimately, I want to hear what you guys want from the Wrestle Blog. So hopefully you've enjoyed this to a certain extent. From myself, Aeron Sits, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Blog.